Was it a werewolf or a skinwalker? I live in a country, small town in Australia. To paint a visual, the town I live in is set out on giant hills surrounded by a lake and bushland in which you'll need to cross a bridge that runs between the lake and giant coal mine power station that our town is renounced for. It was a sunny night around 8 p.m. I had just finished work at a fish and chip shop, a town over from mine, as it was summer, so it was still light outside and it wouldn't get dark until 9:03:01 ZEERO PM. I got in my car and was driving home. As I started coming down towards the 4 lanes next to the power station towards my town, I saw a shadow up ahead on the right, running fast alongside the wire fence of the power station car park. I immediately slowed down because wildlife like kangaroos have a tendency to run out in front of your car. This thing kind of looked like a dog. I thought at first, I remember thinking, what is a dog doing all the way out here? And as it came closer, it was running on all fours, kind of like a gallop straight towards my car. And then it diagonally leaps, crossing the 2 lanes, leading out of town and onto the 2 lanes in front of me. I could now see this thing clearly. It wasn't a dog. It was so much bigger than a dog. This creature had the exact face and head shape of a dog, but no fur. Instead, it was like extremely pale human skin. This thing was so close to my car, I could see its giant blue veins down its body to its long tail, as well as every joints moving in its legs as it ran. It then went across the road in front of me and leaped over the guardrail on the left of my car like it was nothing. It's like time just stopped. All I could hear was the blood pumping through my heart and in my head, laughing, thinking, what the hell was that thing? I didn't realize my car was at a complete stop in the middle of the road. And then my body just woke back up like a jolt of this overwhelming dread of just pure fear. My blood felt like ice. I immediately locked my doors and speeding home. And I got home, I was so shaken up and trembling when I told my family, the only way I could fully explain exactly what it looked like was that we're Wolf from Harry Potter. But my father just laughed at me and joked. If I had been smoking drugs, no one to this day believes me, nor have I heard of anyone else seen. Even though this happened years ago, it still terrifies me to walk my dogs down there to the lake on my own. That's the end of first story. Moving towards our second story, the big bad wolf. Ever since I was a child, I have been terrified of werewolves and wolves as well, especially movies about them. And as a kid, I was crazy enough to watch them, but I covered my eyes whenever I knew the scary wolf was going to appear. So this obviously gave me terrible nightmares for most of my life. It was a Friday on Halloween night, 2016. At the time, I worked as an English teacher in a company I always thought did not appreciate me. On that night, I was planning to watch a horror movie marathon like I did every year. But I was thinking about watching a werewolf movie that year. But one of my coworkers recommended me an old movie called An American Werewolf in London, and it sounded scary, but I really wanted to face my fears and give it a shot. On that day, I was very excited because I had already bought candy for the trick-or-treaters and some beer for me. But I wished I did not have to work until 5 p.m. So as soon as I got off work, I took my things and left my office. I drove my car home, which I called the Batmobile, to execute my plans. I listened to a song called Thriller, which I loved listening to on Halloween nights. I got home at 7 p.m. or so, then I took a beer from my fridge, drank a long sip, and heard the door ring, which scared me for a second, but then I heard trick or treat behind my door, so I opened it, complimented the kids' cool costumes and gave them candy. The trick-or-treaters kept visiting me, until 8 p.m., and all the while, I listened to heavy metal and ate ramen for dinner. After that, I grabbed my laptop and watched my horror movie marathon. And I left the werewolf movie for last. I sometimes had to pause to get another beer, and it scared the crap out of me, but I still thought it was a great movie, so I was 6 beers in and decided to go to sleep at midnight. That night, I had a terrible nightmare where I had to run away from a werewolf in a dark, foggy, and creepy forest, which was only lit by a full moon. In my dream, I was screaming my lungs out, and I felt extremely disoriented and afraid of the huge, bulky, black as night werewolf that was chasing after me. I ran for my life for what seemed like hours, but I felt the beast closing in on me. I turned around several times, and all I could see was its dark silhouette, bright red eyes, and yellow teeth baring at me. I screamed again and ran a bit faster now. Out of the blue, I came across a huge fallen tree that blocked my way, so I had no choice but to jump over it. I heard the werewolf growling and panting behind me, so it jumped the tree too. While I was still midair, I felt a sharp pain on my back, and I woke up suddenly. Then I jumped out of my bed from fright, hit my body against the floor, and cursed. I rubbed my eyes, got up slowly. Out of nowhere, I felt a sudden end-strain pain on my back, just like in my dream. I tried reaching for the place where I felt the pain, but I could not reach it. So I went to the bathroom, washed my face, drank a bit of tap water, saw myself in the mirror, turned around, and to my horror, I saw 5 deep bloody gashes on my back. I jumped forward and said, what the hell is that? The next day, I went to the hospital and got my wound patched up. I simply lied to the doctor and said my cat had scratched me while I was sleeping. I obviously did not own a cat. To this day, I still ask myself if that was just a crazy dream, or did my terrified mind somehow made it a reality? Who knows? The truth is, I never watched a werewolf movie again, since I was terrified that I would have another nightmare as vivid and terrifying as that one.